Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Movie Chatter. We have another great episode for you tonight in which apparently none of us are going to agree. Well, some of us are going to agree. There are three of us, so inevitably...
Two of us have to agree, unless somebody abstains.
Yeah, unless someone's like right down the middle and neutral, I suppose. So it still could happen. But either way, I get the impression there will be conflict. Which is odd because it seems like such a caring movie. We're covering I Care a Lot, which is the latest, I'll call it a psychological thriller to be released on Netflix. This is their latest, I don't know, big name movie. It came out February 19th. And we are going to cover that today. And I cannot wait for this discussion. I think this one's going to be interesting. If you haven't seen this before, I'm Eric, and I'm joined tonight by Lou and by Robin. Robin, how are you doing tonight?
I am super. I've had a long, long day, and I've looked forward to talking with my co-host about a really good movie.
Yeah?
Didn't get that.
You're in the right place.
No, I'm not.
And so it begins. Lou, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I watched this last night, and I'm looking forward to talking about it.
All right. I see someone's breaking out the pre-celebratory whatever she's
Cranberry juice?
I've just got generic cream soda here, so y'all
I have cranberry
thinking
juice.
I'm drinking beer or something while we're recording. I'm not. Cranberry juice?
Big glass of vodka. So.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Oh, if we dink, we can like be a drink.
If you
Cranberry juice, vodka. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh my gosh, moving along. Yeah, I get the impression you want to be drinking after this one. We are going to give our initial impressions of the movie that are going to be spoiler free. We're going to talk a little bit about a kind of a review of as much as we can without giving away spoilers. And then we are going to save spoilers for the end of the episode for the people who either don't mind getting spoiled or have already seen the film. I know this is pretty recent, so a lot of you probably haven't seen it yet. Last I checked, and granted it's been a few days, it was the #1 rated item on Netflix. They combine their movies and television things and they do that top 10. And it's been in the #1 spot pretty much since it's been released, which is a good sign. You'd think. Some people would think. Not all of us, apparently. I'll go first. I liked it. I was the one who recommended this. It was not what I expected it was going to be based on kind of the promotional materials, the picture, the font of the title. The title itself sounds kind of dumb. And I think once the trailer started going a little bit, that's when I got really interested in it and I watched it and I was hooked and I like it. And so I recommended it to you guys, knowing it would be a little bit of a gamble. I knew this was not going to be a sure bet. I was right. Lou, what did you think?
I went to this based on just your recommendation. I didn't see the trailer. I watched maybe a few seconds of the, it runs the trailer like on Netflix automatically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know anything about it going into it. And I thought it was a fun ride. I really enjoyed watching this movie.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Robin, what did you think?
Yeah, not so much, guys. It was a movie.
It was that is the goal here on Movie Chatter is to provide chatter about.
We cover movies.
Movies.
It is a movie. Yes.
That's it.
It is. Well, I mean, I don't want to get, so far into it, but if I had to say something positive, sure, the director gave us a movie. And that's about it. I'm waiting to see if you guys convince me that it was deeper than what I came away with, because I didn't come away with too much.
Uh-huh. Okay. Challenge accepted.
There it is.
Okay.
Gentlemen.
Not saying we'll succeed, but okay. So the idea of this film, let me see if I can, how is the IMDb description here? Kind of generic, but it's good enough. A crooked legal guardian.
Sort of like the movie.
What?
Generic, sort of like the
Oh,
movie. Sorry.
it's going to be one of those nights. Okay. A crooked legal guardian who drains the savings of her elderly wards meets her match when a woman she tries to swindle turns out to be more than she first appears. Okay, that's pretty accurate, I think. So it stars Rosamund Pike as Marla Grayson. She is the main character who kind of runs this racket of manipulating the system into declaring elderly people unable to take care of themselves and in need of a legal guardian, to which she then admits them to an assisted care facility, auctions all of their stuff, keeps the proceeds, continues to get insurance money and whatever else, and she basically has residual income coming in constantly for all of these different wards that she takes on. And the latest person she takes on, played by Diane Weist.
Weist.
Okay. Is not just some elderly old woman all by herself with nothing going for her. She has a family that Marla didn't know about, and things kind of go downhill for Marla from there, except Marla is very clever, so maybe not so much downhill. So it's this back and forth throughout the movie between Marla and some of the other characters, most notably Roman, played by Peter Dinklage. And then, I don't know, we'll get to the spoilers and what happens in the film later on, but let's look at the cast a little bit. We'll talk about the director. Let's skip straight to the director, actually, because that's going to be really fast. This guy has done very little.
Actually, but before we get into the cast and the director, I just want to say that the first 5 minutes of this movie are truly frightening.
One of the things I like about this movie is that they say the scariest things in fiction are the things that could happen for real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what makes this movie really compelling on an additional level besides the actual script.
Yep. So I start getting into this in the first 5 or 10 minutes. I'm looking at this going, what do I have to do to protect myself from this happening to me or my parents? Or it's like, truly frightening stuff. Elder care in general is fairly tricky to begin with, and there's always, and you do want to maximize your, what you're keeping and passing on to your kids and so forth. And it's just, this whole thing just is like, what is that legal? She could do, wow. Is that kind of thing going through it? It just really kind of shocked me and stuff. I'm like, wow, okay.
I don't know too much about that specific sort of thing. I know a little bit about the healthcare system and a little bit about how it relates to elderly people and kind of the administrative side of things. And I don't think that it's that easy to do what happened in this movie, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not as easy as they make it out to be, but
see, you watch this movie with your wife, Lou, and then you turn to her at the end and say, see, don't ever kill me in my sleep, because this is the future you have to look forward to if you're on your own.
I'll take care of her, Lou. It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
Take your own.
Thanks, Robin. Sorry, Lou. You're SOL. No, but I think that that's one of the really interesting things about this movie too, is aside from it as a movie, which, it's not a brilliant movie. It's an okay movie. It's good. It's fun. But the fact that some of this stuff could actually happen, I think, is, as you said, it's really frightening. And at no point, in my opinion, in this movie do they really go over the top with the crime, the violence, the gunfights or whatever. Like, it was all very kind of grounded in this could actually kind of happen. There were no like John Wick action scenes or high speed car chases or now there were a couple of things maybe. But
there were a couple of character moments that I thought were maybe over the top and wouldn't happen that way. That, you know,
okay.
I'm like, a couple of things I'm like, I don't see this character acting that way in real life. But
okay, so
minuscule. So we'll
some
get
character representations. Okay, well, let's go over the metadata a little bit more here. So the director, let me scroll up and get his name here because he hasn't really done a whole lot. Jay Blakeson. He has written and directed some various things. He wrote and directed this. His directing credits really the Disappearance of Alice Creed, which was an independent film, came out in 2009. It was okay. The Fifth Wave, which was based on a pretty decent young adult sci-fi novel series. And the movie started Chloe Moretz, and it was horrible. And then this. A television miniseries called Gunpowder, which I've never heard of. So he's not a very veteran writer or director. So, you know, all things considered, I think he did okay with this. I know Robin probably would disagree with that. We'll come back to that, though. Rosamund Pike. Let's see. Gone Girl. Die Another Day. Pride and Prejudice. Jack Reacher. Is going to be in the upcoming Wheel of Time television series. Oh, what else? Watership Down, but that was voice acting. She's one of those people where I see her around a lot and then I never remember any of the movies she's in because she never plays a big enough role. Like, she was in Surrogates, which I think was another sci-fi movie. She was in Doom, another sci-fi movie.
But let me stop you there. If you haven't seen Gone Girl, see Gone Girl.
I've seen Gone Girl. Yeah. It's good.
Okay. For me, the thing that drew me to this movie was after you said it, that she was in it. And I think for me, that was the biggest disappointment because I was expecting her to bring her Gone Girl to this story. And
so you tainted your own expectations.
Well, because I saw the range of her acting ability in Gone Girl.
But she probably couldn't because it was gone.
Girl. Yeah. Yeah. So, and so that's and so I didn't, yes, my expectations for her were high. And of course, you know, it has Peter Dinklage, and, you know, who doesn't want to watch Peter Dinklage? I mean, I would watch him all day long. But I got to tell you, either they both phoned it in or the director couldn't harness these two talents and unleash them appropriately.
Lou?
I mean, I thought Peter did a great job with his role. I was very much believing his character and the way he would act in these situations, given, you know, what we know about him.
I think like they were tethered. They felt to me like they were tethered to a pole, and acting around the pole rather than, I mean, come on. She's destroying a powerful person's mother. Have we gotten to that point? Are we right?
Yeah, we'll throw out a little bit of a spoiler warning. Let's hold off on the very end of the movie for now.
Okay.
And we'll give a heavy duty spoiler warning then, but this is going to be like a minor spoiler warning. This will be like through
So here,
the first 2 acts.
so here in the first 2 acts, this story is unfolding. You know, you can see what she's doing. You immediately gauge his emotion, even though he doesn't show it. But in his character, the viciousness of what we suppose his character is on many different levels is very restrained when it comes to her. I mean, he brutalized, one of the minor characters, but he could have gone much more crazy on her after he discovered who she is and what she was doing. I'm trying to be
would that have
non-spoilerish.
helped for you if he had?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't mind him not completely going crazy either, because you have to be. He was very careful to make sure that the people he had working under him, who were supposed to be fixing it for him, stayed within the law. Like, did as much as he could until, it got to points where he couldn't anymore. But he always tried to kind of keep it so nothing could come back to him, which is more difficult than you might think in real life, I imagine.
No, that's very true.
So, like, I guess
But
I'm
since
okay
when
with the
has
fact that he
Russian
didn't just
mob
like
ever
open up a
cared
whole
about that?
can of whoop ass.
So let's back up to Rosamund Pike's character first, because I think it kind of goes in the story and the progression and the writing, and how I think the writing was really well done. So we learn who she is and what she's doing in the first few minutes, and it, like I said before, kind of truly terrifying what she does. And then we see, she gets the call that, hey, good news, bad news, and so-and-so died, and she's like, oh God, he was only so young. We thought we'd get more years out of this guy. So now you're kind of seeing what she's truly doing and what she's bummed about, and her lack of caring, where she takes his picture at the wall, crumples up and throws it away, and yada yada yada. And then we hear the other doctor that's in cahoots with her, kind of going, hey, I might have a cherry, and you've kind of learned what the cherry is, and she's all excited now. It's like, wow, this is great. They kind of do some background. And so now this is her doing what she does best to get the maximum value for her, and just kind of leading to more how scary this is. And that's where we meet, the other main character in this show, the Diane Wiest, that is, the elderly woman that's, she's, she has no ties, she has no relatives and all this stuff. And then we find out she's attached to Peter Dinklage's character. And we still don't, it's like, what, okay, where is that coming from? But, so we know Rosamund Pike's character is doing things legally, but illegally, at the same time. And her character is kind of doing that true to her character, very believable, very, very well done. Her mannerisms, her, the words she's using, the way she portrays her character, I thought was excellent. And then, as Eric says, Peter Dinklage's character has people working for him. He's going to be in a show. He is somebody who can't be seen, known, can't be involved. He sees his mother once a year, very much on the down low, so that no one kind of, pegs this guy and sees what's going on. So, him being this ultra powerful badass that can't show himself, I thought played that very well, because that's exactly what I would expect to have this character do, given what we know about him and how he wants to portray himself.
Yeah.
He can't show much. He's when you have somebody of that stature, in my opinion, that when he's that much of a badass, not getting excited, not raising your voice is part of what makes him scary.
He even points it out at one point in the film.
Yeah, he's.
does he?
I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
he does.
I prefer to stay calm. I don't like.
I prefer to stay calm.
Yeah, you're right.
Angry.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you though, as much as I'm not a fan of this film, the scariest person in the film for me was the mother, Diane Wiest. I think she played that part brilliantly.
Yeah,
she did great.
She knew exactly who she was. She was able to keep her head for the most part. Um, and I would not want to look into those eyes for very long.
You said she knows exactly who she was. Some of our audience might not know who she is. She's been around for quite a while. She's been acting since mid to late 70s. She did a lot of 80s movies. She was in Footloose. She was in Hannah and Her Sisters, Lost Boys. Oh, that's right. She played the mother in Lost Boys. Parenthood,
right.
Edward Scissorhands, Bullets Over Broadway, The Birdcage, The Associate, The Horse Whisperer, Practical Magic, and on and on and on. Like there's just, again, another one of those actresses where if you don't know the name, you're going to know exactly who we're talking about as soon as you see her face.
Right.
Yeah, she did a brilliant job. I mean, she always does a brilliant job, though. I mean, there's...
Yep.
To be honest, this is a great cast. Dinklage is the same way. Everything he's in, he's just... Even on a bad day, he's awesome.
One thing about her character in this, though, and this is where there were some character moments that I thought were kind of off. Robin said she knew who she was, and she did. She did a great job when she was in the home and she was under the drugs and she was, talking to Rosamund's character that, oh, you're in trouble now. She knows what's going on, even though she was under the influence of some heavy drugs. But that first sequence with her being confronted at the front door didn't. Thinking back, and it didn't work for me because I'm like,
really?
She would have a phone number to call somebody to, hey, this is happening. Get help type thing. She seemed very much not who not who we knew she was after a while in the movie.
But if she can't call her son because
she can't call her son.
Right, she doesn't want that connection to be revealed. Who else is she going to call? There are cops outside. Person's got a court order.
She's got with this whole thing set up, she's gonna have somebody that she can contact. I'm sure of it. There would have had to be something that she could get a message somehow to him or to his staff or his people or something. I mean, we know that one guy comes to pick her up once a year to meet with her son, but there's got to be somebody else that she would have had get a message to help this.
Yeah, you'd hope.
Let him know what's going on. You would think, but so that was the only thing about that because she was so confident in who she was later on, but in this first sequence, she's like playing. She played the frail old woman. That what is it? What does this mean? And I've got to go with you because the police. It's like it was so out of who she really was.
I would argue that she knew so deeply who she was that she couldn't have played it any other way. She didn't play someone who was extremely frail, so she wasn't acting. I think she was caught off guard, which is what she was supposed to be. And then I do think that the police officers changed that whole scenario for her because those were when the bells started clicking. And then until she understood who Marla was, she literally needed to play catch up until she finally got it.
Yeah, and then, because she was ready to turn around and go back in and close the door until she saw the cops standing outside. And then it's like, oh, crap. Not only is this real, but on top of that, I don't want to draw additional attention because of who my son is. Yeah.
Sure, that could be. That would explain.
I get what you're saying, though, Lewin, and I can understand that. I didn't have that same perspective, but that's fair. I do appreciate though that Robin is now defending the movie.
Oh, stop!
But that's awesome.
I'm defending this character only because once she is free to reveal, even in code, to Marla, that like oh sweetie, you have no idea, like that was for me a very scary moment, and I thought
and that's where some of the other character moments I have a problem with. Once
Lou, you're supposed to be telling us why this movie's so good. I just want to throw that out there.
No, it's just character moments. It's just character moments.
Fair enough.
Because I thought the story was excellent. I thought okay, so let's back up a second then before we get into the character moments.
Sure.
The story that we had, so we have Rosamund's character being this real evil kind of, I just want to, someone should kill her type thing, And then we find out, okay, she messed with the wrong person. It's like, this is not the story I thought it was going to be. Now it's this whole other story that she's messed with. Should we say what Peter Dinklage was? He was
yeah, sure,
Russian mob.
Russian mobster. Yeah. So it's now you're messing with the Russian mobster's mother, who was so deeply hidden that they stole her identity from somebody else, and she's been living this whole other life, and now it's like, okay, now there's a whole other thing going on here that she's getting out of this, and then there's a whole other ending that we have to talk about later on. But that's for me what made this so great. That story was just, it kept you on your toes, and it wasn't just, okay, yeah, I see what we're doing here. I know what's going on.
But the thing is, like, she doesn't back down. It's like she's up against this Russian mobster who has this incredibly elaborate backstory for a stolen identity, like going back years and years of tax records and this and that.
40 years, yeah.
It's like, you walk into the situation and you're like, oh, wow, I really did pick the wrong thing here. Yeah, I'm going to walk away. That's just, you don't want that kind of attention, that kind of difficulty. You want everything to go smoothly. And she's like, no, I'm not going to lose here. I don't lose. I'm taking this.
But that's where I found it kind of unbelievable that if she's up against those kind of odds, her character being the money grabbing, witch that she is, I think we're just taking the money and
she was a sociopathic narcissist. And for her, I don't think she thought she could lose because she had the system on her side. And
but they didn't bring that out enough in the story to make me believe that she would have tried to stand up to him. Her character was all about the money and just, hey, what, if this is easier, I'm gonna do it this way. And I would have thought she would have taken the couple $100,000 in cash, or
I don't know.
And then the other thing that did make sense to me, and I know I'm bringing up all these negatives, but I really enjoyed the movie.
I can tell.
So she finds the diamonds in the safe deposit box, right? And she's like, okay, well, these are worth a lot, and she wanted a $10 million payout, and I'm like, okay, so those diamonds aren't worth $10 million, or maybe close to that, but it seemed like there was he wanted those diamonds back so badly, and then I was confused. What was the diamonds are about his mom, and
no, the diamonds were worth more than $10 million. So one of the diamonds was appraised at what, 600,000, 500,000 or 600,000?
No, she said like 175. Then it was maybe like 10 of them in the bag.
Oh, I thought there were more than 10.
Oh, I thought there were.
I thought there was like
10.
a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't 10 million worth. If one of them was worth $200,000, 175 or so.
Maybe I had the numbers wrong. I thought they were.
It just seemed like there wasn't enough in it, and that's where I'm like, okay, so what's the real motivation there? But that got me a little confused. I just felt she would have backed down.
Well, and so her wife was trying to get her to back down, and I think she was just so wrapped up in this, no, I can't lose. They can't win. The system is against them. They have to stay hidden. They have to keep things on the down low. They're not going to do anything openly in public. They're not, we still got this. And then when things started to get bad, and she's like, okay, well, we can just run. They had the diamonds. Like, she wasn't in her right mind as far as, she's smart and she's clever, but that doesn't speak to your psychological state. She was so narcissistic and had so much of a God complex that she thought there's just no way this is going to go wrong. I have all my ducks in a row. I'm an expert at this, and they are not as smart as I am. And I understand what you're saying, though. Like, any reasonable person would have, like, every red flag in the world would have been going off, but I don't think she was a reasonable person.
Yeah.
I do like the way, though, and whether it's believable or not, I can see that maybe there's room for disagreement there. I will say, okay, so Fat Matic here in the chat room said the story had a lot of turns and was very enjoyable. I liked the turns. I liked you not knowing who's going to come out ahead. It felt very much like Ozark to me, but in a movie form, where it's like, well, crap, how are they going to get out of this now? Oh, well, they have the perfect way out. Oh, that's not a way out at all. Things just got worse. And it just keeps going and going. And
yeah,
you never really know who's going to come out ahead.
The trap that the writer wrote into this was brilliant. I mean, he couldn't exert the influence he would normally do as a big, heavy bad guy because his mom was involved. He couldn't get her. There's no way to get her out of that.
And he has a legitimate business that he's the head of up in front. So he can't just, walk into a room and start shooting people. He has a cover that is his life and his business. He has to have other people do things for him. Yeah. I mean, it was the levels of complexity I thought were there. I don't know.
See,
yeah.
To me, you know how Frankenstein's monster was created?
I mean, are you asking literally or?
You take bits and pieces from other bright creatures, things, and put them together. That's what this felt like to me. It felt very like, oh, now we're going to show a scene with cars backlighting mobsters and in, a dark alley. And now we're going to show a scene. It just.
Did you feel it was too chaotic as far as the jumping from thing to thing? Is that what you're saying?
Not chaotic. I feel like the director was like, oh, I really like these noir backlit scenes, so I'm going to find a way to use them. And I really like courtroom drama scenes, so I'm going to find a way to use it. And it is true, Lou. The first part of the movie, if you put yourself as a 40, 50 something year old, possibly looking at, what could happen to those you love, that in and of itself is psychological terror. Absolutely. But the scene itself, the man entering the nursing home and the water, thing, and him being tackled, that to me felt very, I don't know, that broke it for me, right? Because there was no follow through at that moment.
What?
Now, no, just at that moment, because there are no major spoilers here, right? We haven't called.
We're a half hour into the episode. I think at this point, we can say from this point on, we're going to go ahead and talk spoilers to include, up to and including the end of the film.
But so for me, as I watched the beginning of the film, the first third of the film, the first act, I realized that I had just also seen the end of the film. To me, it just evolved that way. And I would have been disappointed more if the ending were any different.
Okay.
I felt like the ending had to be that way because it was foretold in that first scene. Because you never saw him again.
Right, but I guess I never thought they were actually going to circle back to it. I thought it was basically, rather than doing exposition for the audience, we're going to do this in a courtroom instead. And we just needed some guy there to do that.
Right.
I didn't see that ending. Like, as soon as I saw him on the street again, I'm like, oh, there's the end. But I didn't make that connection.
Up until that, I did. Yeah.
As obvious as it seems in hindsight, I will admit I didn't make it in advance.
Yep. So let's talk to the ending a little bit, though, as far as storytelling and how I thought it was very well written. So you had, her being potentially killed, right? He's like, okay, just do it, make it organic. Mm-hmm. And they set up a way for her to get killed. She gets out of that. Which was that was my one.
I want to jump in. That was my one part of the movie. Yep. I'm like, no, that's not how that works. That's not going to happen that way. And it was so far removed from reality that almost broke it for me. Like, I'm sitting there shaking my head, like literally shaking my head as I'm watching that scene. I'm like, no, you don't just do that and then kick out the back window and then you're good. Especially after being drugged.
And when it happened, like after like a few seconds, I'm like, oh, let me hold my breath. And I'm like, okay, I didn't start holding my breath when she hit the water. I started my breath afterward. And I couldn't do it, and she's exerting. I'm like, she was
after being drugged, unconscious.
After being
drugged. Well, no, not drugged, just intoxicated because they gave her vodka.
No, they give her a shot of something first, and then they pumped
gave her a
vodka
shot of
into her
something.
stomach.
Oh, that's right. They did.
So
give her a shot.
that they would find it in the autopsy. It wasn't to make her drunk. It was so that.
But anyway, so yeah, the way they did it was a little believable, but it worked for the scene. So she gets out, she doesn't die, and then what was unbelievable for me was now she becomes this ultimate badass, and she's going to go on the offensive and make this happen in like 5 minutes. So it was a little quick
as
for
one
me on
does.
that, but it was good. So we had her almost die. She goes out. She goes on the offensive. She does what she needs to do. She gets Peter Dinklage's character and leaves him for dead. And then you think, okay, so that's how this is gonna. She got her revenge, and then you have him waking up in the hospital with her there as his guardian, which is like, oh, perfect. That was
Oh no, I was angry when I saw that.
Well, I was angry in a good way because I wanted her to lose. I wanted Peter Dinklage's character to win, right? Even though he's supposed to be the bad guy, worse than she is.
But in that moment, he lost and she won.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to end it there, and I was mad. But go on.
But I would have been mad, but I like to be mad sometimes because it meant it was good writing and I didn't expect it. You know what I'm saying? So I can appreciate that and like, okay, that would have been a good ending. I would have been okay with that. And then having him turn tables on her again to say, let's be partners. I'm like, oh,
I kind of liked it, but then I didn't like that ending either. That would have made me mad because I felt like it was a cop-out.
A little bit, and I wasn't 100% happy that was it, but I'm like, okay, I didn't see a turn coming. I'm happy. I like that. I like the ending I didn't see. And then to have the other guy from the beginning, I'm like, oh, that's how it's going to end.
Yeah, and that one I was okay with. I'm like, there we go.
Like,
that's the right ending.
What a good ending. It's like, that's the ending I wanted to see because it was 3 times I was kind of okay with it, and then, okay, you just hit it.
The funny thing, too, is you mentioned that the first one, or the first ending, where, they beat Dinklage, they do this whole montage thing like you do at the end of a movie when you're wrapping it up. Except that's not the end. And then, he's in the hospital. And then there's that whole thing on, let's work together. And then you get the real ending montage. Except that's not actually the end. And then you get the end and then roll credits. And it's like, okay, yep. That's so to me, it was weird that they did the montage to make you think that's it. And then it's like, no, here's the real montage. And then,
but
it's this other thing, really.
They did a good job with that. It was a unique way to end.
I liked the ending.
I'll come back to what I say. What's that?
I liked the ending. Yeah.
And I'll come back and say this because I feel like I say this a lot in movies. I want original stories. And to me, this was an original story.
Even the concept itself, I liked. And listen, I didn't suggest this because I think it's a brilliant movie. I think it's a good movie. Okay, like on a scale of 1 to 10, and like if you consider a 5, like it's okay, it's neither good nor bad. I'd consider this like a 6.5 or 7 or something like that. Like it's not a 9 or a 10. It's better than merely neutral. But what I liked about it was what you just said, the fact that this is something we haven't seen before. It is kind of scary because this could happen for real. And what are you going to do about it? You can't do anything. And here's this person, Dinklage's character, he's got to do something. So he fights back. And then here's Marla, and she's like, no, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to let you. And things kind of get out of control. And I thought it was a fun ride without it just being a shootout. So I don't know. I kind of liked that aspect of things. So I think that plus to me, like there's a whole conversation. Now that we're going to do it here on Movie Chatter, but I think there's a whole conversation to be had about what kind of rights do you have when it comes to your elderly parents, or if you are elderly, to take care of yourself, or if you can't take care of yourself anymore, to be able to say, okay, maybe I can't always take care of myself, but this isn't the solution. Or this person isn't the solution. Like what right do you have to say, no, I refuse this person. I want someone else. If you go into a hospital or something, you can refuse a particular nurse or doctor if you want to. So why wouldn't you with elderly care? And then like, I don't know. Like I said, I could go down a whole rabbit hole there, but I think that you have rights and there should be oversight. And the fact that, and yeah, this is fiction, but some of it's based on reality. And you know, how much do you have rights and how much oversight is there really? And there is a lot of our legal system that is just people signing up. I was watching Last Week Tonight with John Oliver on HBO this past week, and they were talking about police raids. And it was pointed out that most warrants, like for like a raid warrant, most of them are signed in like less than 3 minutes. I think over half of them, they're signed off in less than 3 minutes. And a lot of them, it's like within 30 seconds of getting the judge on the phone for the request. It's like, yeah, go ahead. Like it's
right.
It's so much just signing off on stuff that I could totally see this sort of thing happening. I'm not saying it does happen, but it's not that much of a stretch. And to me, that's both scary and something we haven't seen done. And I appreciate that. I mean, I like John Wick, but by John Wick 3, it's the same thing. And I'm okay with that. But it's the same thing. This was different. So, Robin, I know we failed to convince you otherwise. But
No, well, I think I've decided that there was one brilliant performance here, and you know, I'm going to stick with that. As disappointed as I am in Peter Dinklage and Rosamund Pike, I was honestly I was expecting more from both of them. And
I will send you the Doritos
and I didn't
commercial
get it.
with Peter Dinklage doing Busta Rhymes just to cheer you up. Because, I mean, how can you not love anything he does?
I do. I love, worship the ground that guy walks on. I just think that this was, or maybe there was just too little of him. I don't know. Sort of present in the movie.
Sorry, I see what you
Oh, please talk about low-hanging fruit, Lou.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But yeah, I think that,
so
especially in the first act, he didn't have a lot of screen time.
No.
And when he did, he was very subdued. Like, I will say at the beginning, I didn't care for his character too much because he was so
aloof,
kind of
as aloof as she was.
Yeah, like you couldn't really get into his character at that point. He was too reserved, too much just like, what do you mean she's not here? Fix it, you idiot.
Right.
Like that kind of stereotypical Bugs Bunny 1940s villain kind of guy.
Yeah.
But then it moved away from that really quickly. But at first it was hard to connect with him.
Yeah.
I got used to him though. I don't know.
And it doesn't escape me that they both had little ponytails. Sorry. She always had this little fake ponytail going on, and he always had the little man bun going. Sorry.
You must have really disliked the movie if you were paying attention to those things.
I was paying attention
to
the
interesting thing I thought was about halfway through this, I'm looking at the movie, and I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of glad this was released the way it was in the pandemic, that we can see things like this, because I'm like, I would have never gone to the theater to see this.
No,
I would have never plunked down hard-earned cash to go watch this movie, but I'm glad I did, and by the time I came around to Netflix, I probably wouldn't watch it then either,
Yeah, you're right.
But because it was billed as a first-rate movie and, what would have been released in the theaters on Netflix, I was like, sure, I'll watch it.
When I saw it pop up on the Netflix front page, I wasn't going to watch it. But when it popped up, here's how I caught it. I was on my iPad, and it popped up, and I was doing something on my iPad, so it auto-rolled the ad for it.
Yeah,
and it was the ad that caught me.
It does that all the time.
Yeah.
You can turn that off, by the way.
You can, but I leave it on because sometimes things like this happen. There have been a few movies where... Like, oh, that's what that is. That's actually not bad. That looks pretty good. And then I watch the movie, so I leave it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even subscribe to this YouTube channel, so I don't tell me how to turn things off.
Yeah, you couldn't subscribe to the Twitch channel. You could,
Oh.
if it's more than just a power button.
Robin.
Yeah.
So as we were talking, you guys were talking, I was listening. I was kind of going through the cast here, and I came across, so Dr. Amos, the woman that was in cahoots with her, trying to get,
Karen,
who had a very small role.
Yeah. Alicia Witt is the actress who played that.
That sounds familiar.
She played the sister of what's the character's name in Dune? She played Aaliyah, which was who's the main character in Dune? I'm drawing a blank.
The guy. I don't know. I was never a big Dune fan.
But
David Bowie.
No, not David. But she played his 9-year-old sister.
You're thinking of Sting, by the way.
I know that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My gosh. Get your British rock stars right. Jeez. Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't catch that. Another actress in the movie, Eliza Gonzalez, played Fran, who was Marla's wife. And I didn't realize it until you mentioned it before we were recording. I'm like, I know her from somewhere. And you pointed out she was in Baby Driver, which we just got done covering recently. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, she was John Hamm's girlfriend in that. She was also in Battle Angel Alita. She was in Hobbs and Shaw. She's in Godzilla versus Kong, coming up here pretty soon.
I want to see that.
Yeah, I kind of do too. Yeah, so and she's pretty good too. And I thought she did really well in this film.
Mm-hmm.
There were times I found her at least as interesting as Marla, if not more. So, I don't know. I liked this movie. I think people should check it out. I agree with you. I don't think I'd see it in a theater. But again, pandemic, not a lot to really watch that's new coming out right now. I was pretty happy with this. I mean, it's one thing to catch up on all the television stuff you're behind on. And we're all behind on a lot of stuff. But every now and then you just want a one shot. I just, I want to sit down for 2 hours, watch something and be done with it and walk away. I don't want to still be catching up on 3 seasons of something.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me something I can consume today and walk away from it and be fed and be done. And we're not getting a lot of that right now. And I think that this is a good addition for like a streaming service movie. I think this is good. I'd recommend this without question.
Same here.
Okay. And Robin, you're a little on the fence though, right? That's your vote? Or not at all on the fence?
Yeah,
you don't think people should see it?
I'm not at all on the fence. Yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't even crossed the fence.
I was trying to milk that. Oh, it was one really good performance
It's an
thing.
electrified fence that I know better than to go and touch.
Okay. It's an electric fence. You don't touch it. With barbed wire across the top. That's her opinion of this fence. Just don't go near it.
Yeah. Don't go near it. That's fine.
What are we covering next?
Well, okay. So
we're covering
I don't
Rebecca
know
next.
how long we can put off. I actually would have to watch Six Underground again because we've been saying it and saying it.
Too.
But I'd be okay with that.
And saying it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So if we're going to have to watch it again anyway, why don't we continue putting it off? Because Lou did just watch Rebecca based on your recommendation. And unfortunately, I watched the Snowpiercer television series, of which I'm a big fan. In which case, they spoiled the whole thing in one of the scenes in this post-apocalyptic distant future in 2 sentences.
So bizarre.
Yeah. Vader's
really
Luke's father
bizarre.
and they blow up the Death Star at the end. Let's go. Like, literally, like that was, I'm substituting words, but that was exactly the dialogue. He did this happened, let's go. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, yeah, but, and so of course I get in Discord and everyone's like, Eric, the book came out in like 1804. And I'm like, yeah, but I was never going to read the book anyway. I'm only watching it because it's a movie.
1940.
Right.
Yeah, but it's close enough. 1804, 1940s. It's
really?
like 10 years apart. I mean, come on.
That was pretty funny. Now, are we watching both Rebecca's or?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
going to it
halfway.
now. I don't know. I'm going to watch
I'm
the
about
new one.
halfway through the original
The ori-
one,
Okay.
and I, Robin, when you said it's not really a remake, I'm like, well, it's not a remake because it's like a shot-for-shot remake.
And here's why I keep saying that, because everything you read says it is based on the same novel. And so I've been trying to be very careful.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
usually if something is a reboot or a remake, it says it owns it. And nobody is willing to own that, even though I would agree with you, Lou. I just don't want to go on a podcast and call it that.
He doesn't want to be honest, in other words.
I'm halfway through it, and I'm like, it is almost
I agree
a
with you.
shot-for-shot recreation of the
I agree with you.
almost like, what was it? Rob Zombie did a shot-for-shot remake of something he did, and I'm like, exactly shot-for-shot. I'm like, this is almost the same thing, except it's funny. I can't wait to talk about these two movies together because I think the acting is better in one, but the script was better in the other.
Well, if it
As
was
far as
shot
the
for
dialogue
shot,
is-
then how is the script any better?
Well, some of the dialogue and delivery was a little bit.
Listen, I'm going to
different.
watch the one that has Lily James in it. And if it's shot for shot otherwise, then I've already seen the Alfred Hitchcock one. I don't need to see it.
No, you really
No,
haven't.
you gotta watch
Just
both.
with,
Alfred,
you
you gotta
know,
watch
an
both.
actress I like better.
Alfred Hitchcock is just brilliant.
Right. And somebody recreated his movie shot for shot. So I'm still getting that brilliance.
But don't forget, Alfred Hitchcock was a brilliant director.
I know. And I admittedly am
because
really far
someone
behind
can
on Hitchcock stuff. Like,
recreate-
that's my bad. That's on me.
So just because somebody takes something and says, I can be Hitchcock, doesn't mean they can be Hitchcock.
No, but if they're doing it scene for scene, it's not like he's trying to be the new Hitchcock. He's literally taking Hitchcock and just inserting new actresses in.
Like him, hate him,
Don't be a baby. Watch them both.
hate his motives, but
We'll
he
see.
got things out of his actors.
Here's what I will commit to. I will
other
I will
people
commit
watched
get
the
out.
American World Police for you.
Ah.
and you're gonna watch Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
I watched whatever it is I watched for you.
You still owe that to me for Christmas and my birthday.
I
for 3
watched
years.
something
Yes.
for Eric, didn't I, Lou?
Oh,
Save me.
we watched
watched
The
Southern
Greatest
Girl,
Showman. So, like,
Yeah.
you have so much catching up to do. We cannot even describe.
You
Okay,
can
here's what I will
describe.
commit
What did
to.
I watch? I watched something about woods and a cabin.
You loved that
and
movie.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
See,
Ding.
right?
See how
I will
look,
watch-
Hey,
listen.
guys, look how aggravated I can make Eric.
know.
Look, I'm making him crazy.
Not even trying. She could just sit there and stare at me and I'd be aggravated. Like it's a gift. So I will watch the new version and at the least I will go through and scan significant chunks of the old version. At the very least, I will probably watch the whole thing, but if not, I will at least check out as much of it as I have an opportunity to within whatever allotted.
Don't be surprised when
willing
the
to give
clock
it.
rings 12 and the ghosts of Hitchcock, past, present, future, come and
Is
visit
that a
you.
thing?
I don't know. I don't know.
If they do and they play that music at the beginning, I think I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Okay. Speaking of,
So Rebecca.
yes, we are going
Yeah.
to do Rebecca. We are going to, so to be clear, we are focusing on the Netflix version that came out
Sure.
fairly recently.
Yes.
We are not focusing on the
2020.
Hitchcock version, but if you want to do additional extra credit work,
Extra credit, people.
watch the
Carrie,
1940
Carrie,
Hitchcock.
Extra credit.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Movie Chatter. Okay. We got through it. Go to randomchatter.com to find more podcasts. And while you're there, type in /Discord. That'll get you into our Discord server. There's a Movie Chatter channel there. We would like to know what you thought of this movie. Did you think it was a good ride? Or did you think that it's an electric barbed wire fence that you are not on?
You're not supposed to touch.
Yeah. Let us know. Let us know what you thought about it. Let us know what other movies you think we should cover. And also go to randomchatter.com/YouTube. Hit that subscribe and like button down below. There's another button there that'll give you notifications of when we post new videos or go live like we are right now. We are live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's GMT -5. And we also do, excuse me, my throat's starting to go now. Been a long day. We also do Random Chatter and Force Chatter on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And you can catch those live as well. So that's going to do it. Thank you, Lou and Robin. And thank you to everybody in the chat room. We will see you again in a week for Rebecca. Until then,